Hello everyone. So this video is the continue of React Portfolio project. If you haven't watched the previous videos, please make sure to go to my channel and watch the videos. So in previous videos, we worked on select slider on recent projects component. I showed you how to change arrows using useref and also how to target React Select classes. But in this video, we will work again on React Select. So we will implement the testimonial cards using React Select. In this video, I will show you how to change the arrows again using useref and also how to change the React Select dots. Besides that, I will show you how to insert dots based on your client's review and also their idea and their profile. So let's get started. To start, I just do the basic setup. Now we are ready to start our project. Inside the container, I add a span tag with a green class for the testimonials text. Then we will have an h1. Once again, we import the component in app.js to display. Okay, once we have them, I come back to client's component and under the container div, we give a weight of 80%, margin 0 auto, and of course a maximum width. Then we give it a padding. Now I grab the span tag, give it a font weight, and change the text transform to uppercase. For the h1, we give a padding top and make the text to be capitalized. Now our titles are ready. For the client's card, we will use select sliders similar to project path. So I don't waste time and just copy and paste the client's data and select slider setting. You can see we have an array of data for our clients and select slider setting. Okay, now under the h1, I add a div called testimonials. Inside it, I import slider component from select slider and pass the setting variable into it. Now we need to call this testimonial div down here for styling. Similar to project component, I add an empty variable. Then inside this variable, we will map through each client's data and return client slider component. Then we pass single item and a key to it. Now we need to make a file and call that client slider. To display this component, I call the client variable inside the slider component. Once the setup are ready, we can see that we have the slider in the UI. Now let's display the actual data. So again, I change the div. To access the client data, we add props in the callback. Now we are going to destructure the data. So I get all data from props.item. Okay, now under the container, I will have a header div. Inside it, we will have some icons. So I just import them from React icons. One is a quotation mark and the second one is a star icon for our review part. Okay, now I add a span tag and add my quotation mark here. Then I add another span tag and add my star icons. For the stars, we will have at least 5 stars. So I just copy paste this for 5 times. Alright guys, let's implement the next part. So I add a p tag and call it body. Inside it, we will pass the description data. Now we need to call this down here, but this time instead of div, I will write p. You can change this to any element you want, whether that is header, section, button, p tag, anything can be written here. Alright, for the last part of our client card, I add a div and call it footer. Inside it, I add an image. The value will be our image URL, and the alt will be our client name. Then we will add another div with the class of details. Inside of it, I add an h1 and pass the client name. Then add a p tag and pass the client position. I call the footer div again. Now you can see we have all clients data in the UI. Now it is time to style them. At first I will give the container this background color. Then we will add a padding of 0.5 rem for the top and 1 rem for other sides. And finally give it a margin 0 for the top and bottom and 1 rem for left and right. Okay, for the header at first I give class for both icons. Now grab the code class and give it a font size, a green color, and an opacity of 0.7. Then grab the star class, give it this color and a font size. Okay, you can see their size and colors are changed. Now let's separate them from each other. So in the header div, I add a display flex, align items center, and justify content to space between. Okay, now they are separated from each other. Once we are done with the icons, now let's style our description. So under the body, I gave it a font size, a margin bottom. And finally, under the footer part, I grabbed the image tag, gave it a width of 4 rem, a border radius, and then used display flex and gave it a gap of 1 rem. You can see image and text are beside each other, but we need to decrease the size of our text. So I grabbed the h1, gave it a font size and a font width. Then for the p tag, I will give it a font size and a dark color. Okay guys, now if we scroll to the left and right, you can see our slider is working. But I think we should have a dark background color. I have added the background color too, but let's see why we still don't have the color. Okay, I think I added the client component under this project div. And if I take this out of here, you can see we will have a dark background color. Alright guys, now let's add a little more spaces in our review cards. So under the container, I gave a padding and a margin. Now you can see our cards are a little wider and have more spaces. Okay, so before we implement our arrows, I need to handle our stars, because we have 5 stars for all reviews, and you know each client may give different stars, right? So we will add stars according our stars number, which comes from our client data. Now I just delete the stars icons and leave one of them. Then I make an empty array of my stars using array with the capital letter. Then add the stars number inside the parentheses. Then we add fill to fill this empty array. And then map this array. Inside the callback, the value will be underscore and I, which stands for index. Then we simply return our single star icon and pass this index as key to our span tag. Now you can see we have stars with the different numbers. Now to delete those gaps between the stars, I just go back to the client slider component and delete the display flex. Now you can see they are in good shape. Let me show you that we have different numbers for each single of our stars in the data. You can see that we have different numbers in each single of our review cards. Okay, now you can see we are displaying stars according to the numbers we have given to our data stars. Alright guys, now let's implement the dots. But before that, we need to reduce the gap between the title and the slider. So I just copy these classes from index.css and paste it in my component. Now we need to change this padding to 0. Now you can see that we have reduced space between our slider and the titles. Now let's find the classes for the select dots. Okay, I found the select dot is the parent of all dots. To make sure, I just copy this and give it a white background color. Now I think these classes belong to dots. As you can see, the background color is changed to white. I will give the text align to left to bring them in the left side. Alright guys, so select slider dots has dots icons by default, but we want to delete them. You can see that these bold icons are in before pseudo element. Now if I click this button, you can see down here the full class. So I just copy and paste it in my component, and if you notice in developer tool, the value of the content is the black dot. So under this class, I just make the value of the content to empty string. Now let's give our own dot styles. So I just copy this class again, but this time without before. I give it a width of 9 pixels, a height of 4 pixels, and this background color. Alright, now we need to make them tiny. To do that, I give a padding of 0.1 rem and a margin top to give it space from the top. You can see we have a different dots in our slider, but we need to have a little margin from the left. Alright, now let's find the active dot and give it a different color. So inside the developer tools, you can see that this is the active dots class. So I just copy this class, and under this I will give a green background color and a width of 15 pixels because we want the active one to be a little taller than the other dots. Now we need to get rid of this white background color. Okay, it is not working. So I just changed this to be only background. Now you can see it is working. To make it work smoothly, I just add a transition to select dots itself and a border radius. So before we test it, I need to reduce the margin of each dot. So I just grab the select dots, li, and give the margin 0. Now you can see our dots are working smoothly with different style. Okay guys, now it is time to style the arrows. So inside the client component, we need to import the arrows from React icons. Then under the slider component, we need to have a div called buttons. Inside it, we need to add a button with the value of our icon code. And another button with the value of the next icon. Now we need to call the div down here for the styling. Okay, for the testimonial, I add a margin top, 2 rems, and position to relative. Then for the button div, we add position absolute, right 0.7 rem, and bottom minus 2 rem. Now the buttons are in the right side. Let's change the style of the buttons. I just simply grab the button tag, eliminate the background color and give it a margin left. Okay, now I'll remove the border and give it this color code and a cursor pointer. Okay, let's increase the font size. Alright, the buttons are ready. Now let's implement the functionality of these buttons. Similar to the previous video, we use useref again. Now set an onClick, but before the onClick, we need to pass the useref to the slider component. Alright, for the first button, you get the current.SlickPrep function to slide it to the left. And for the second button, you get the current.SlickNext function. Okay, now you can see both buttons are working perfectly. Let's work on responsive part. I just opened the DevTools. Oh, seems we have an error. I think in the previous video we used the center mode. Now it says I cannot scroll 4 items at a time in center mode. Now let's fix it. I just opened the client component and changed this all slide to scroll. Now let's see. It didn't work. I think I found out the error is from another component. Now I just open the slider component since the error is there and change this slide to scroll from 4 to 1. Okay, now the error is gone. To delete this error, go to index.html and delete this link tag. Okay, once we are done with the errors, now let's check the responsive. Okay guys, thanks for watching my video. I hope this video was helpful for you. Please make sure to like, comment, and give a subscribe to my channel.